I think I'm entitled.
You want answers!
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work. When you go to church. When you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
About how she was initiated into the satanic cult that night. She was a witch, and part of the initiation is to murder, in that instance, to murder the wife and the two children, 2.5 and 5.5.
In 28 years in the FBI, you'd never come across anything like that.
I had never come across anything like that. I never heard the word Illuminati. If I'd heard it, I didn't pay any attention to it. But let me tell you, folks, tonight you are going to learn about the Illuminati.
What you are about to see is one of the most important interviews I have encountered during my 17 years of research. Anyone who watches this interview will gain the ability to make sense of the past, present, and future. Those who don't will remain lost in a state of confusion. This is an absolute must-see. This interview delves into history, politics, the occult, and the so-called globalist agenda that is systematically destroying the human race through deception and psyops.
Many times I get asked if I'm a subscriber to the conspiracy theory. I absolutely am not a subscriber to the conspiracy theory. There is no theory. Tonight we're going to talk about the Illuminati, and I have Ted Gunderson with me again. He's been kind enough to give us more of his information. For those of you who don't know, Ted spent 28 years with the FBI, is now retired and working in his own investigations, and boy, what he's uncovered, and everything that Ted presents comes straight from documents. So, Ted, welcome to the show. The Illuminati is the title of the show. I have gone through your book, and I hear this organization tossed around. After reading your book, who the hell are these people?
Well, the Illuminati, I wasn't aware that it existed until after I retired from the FBI. I retired from the FBI in 1979, and Attorney General Griffin Bell asked me to coordinate security for the Pan American Games, and I went to San Juan, Puerto Rico in the summer of '79. Came back and opened my own international security consulting and investigative organization in Westwood, Los Angeles, California. And my first major investigation was the Jeffrey R. McDonald case. And he's a former Green Beret doctor who was convicted of murdering his wife and two children at Fort Bragg in 1970, February 17, 1970. And he was sentenced, had been sentenced the previous August to August 79 to 3 consecutive life sentences. And some of his doctor friends asked me to investigate it, and I said, sure, I'll investigate it. So I began my investigation, and within, long story short, I developed something like 19 new witnesses. And within 10 months, as a matter of fact, on October 25, 1980, I obtained a signed confession from Helena Stokely, the girl in the white hat, floppy white hat, in the story. There's been a best-selling book, Failavision, and a best-selling movie, Failavision. And anyway, her name was Helena Stokely, and Helena Stokely told me that Dr. McDonald did not murder his wife and 2 children at Fort Bragg in February 1970, that they were murdered by her satanic cult group. And I said, yes, Helena, tell me more.
Yeah.
And so Helena commenced to tell me about how she was initiated into the satanic cult that night. She was a witch, and part of the initiation is to murder, in that instance, to murder the wife and the 2 children, 2.5 and 5.5, darling children. And so I went public with the information. Well, first of all, before I went public, I submitted a 1,200-page, between 11 and 1,200-page report to the FBI and to the U.S. Department of Justice, Solicitor General's office. And I wrote a personal letter to Judge William Webster, director of the FBI, and I said, and we were friends, Judge Webster and I, because I'd worked for him. I was in charge of most of Southern California, had over 700 personnel under my command, so I knew him, very well.
Right.
And I wrote to Judge Webster and I said, Judge, I think this man's innocent, and here's my report. Dr. McDonald has run out of money, and I think that the FBI needs to look at this and continue my investigation. And I set forth 5 or 6 pages of leads that really needed to be covered to resolve it, bring it to a logical conclusion. And then what happened to me was shocking. All of a sudden, I hear from my various sources around the country that I'm a disgruntled ex-employee, that I'm a homosexual, that I'm suffering from mental problems. And what I'm saying to you is it's called a disinformation program.
Right.
So rather than take my report, my 1,200-page report, continuing the investigation, considering this man is innocent, they attack me. The government attacks me because they have to destroy my credibility. And in order to destroy my credibility, they have to come out with these wild allegations.
Right.
And it's very active, it's very prevalent and very effective in the intelligence community. And it's called a disinformation program. Anyway, long story short, Helena said that she was a member of a satanic cult. At that time, they were bringing drugs in plastic bags in the body cavities of the dead GIs out of Vietnam, Air America, CIA operation, and the Army. And they were landing in various bases around the country. And then they would take the drugs out and distribute them. Helena Stokely's satanic cult group were distributing the drugs on the East Coast. They went in and murdered the family without the approval or the knowledge of higher-ups in the drug operation. And when the higher-ups learned this had happened, they were afraid if there was an investigation of the cult, it could expose the whole operation.
Right.
So what they did is they basically framed Dr. McDonald. Dr. McDonald is an innocent man. He did not commit those murders. So in looking at the case, you see when you become involved in an investigation, the first thing you do is you grab all the testimony and all the evidence and you look at it and you analyze it. And I saw where evidence was lost, stolen, destroyed, altered. For example, Colette, the wife, Jeff's wife, had skin under her fingernails. The skin disappeared. Now from the skin you could do a blood test at that time.
Sure.
And tell the blood type of the person who had been scratched. By the way, Dr. McDonald did not have any scratch marks on him. That skin disappeared. That evidence alone could have exonerated Dr. McDonald.
Right.
But anyway, Helena then told about the movement in the house, what each person did, how she had broken into the house with a black male named Dwight Smith, and two white males, Shelby Don Harris and Alan Mazarell, confronted Dr. McDonald. They had a fight and murdered the family, left him alive. She said that they left Dr. McDonald alive because they felt he would suffer more if his family died and he was alive. The man has suffered. He's been in jail now for 20-some years.
And he's still there.
He's still there. And right now, we're in the process. The court's ordered a DNA test, by the way. In 1997, 4 years ago. Well, the judge, James Fox from Wilmington, North Carolina, said, okay, we're only, although there's 2,000 individual pieces of evidence, he said that we're only going to allow 15 pieces of evidence to be examined, and furthermore, we're only going to allow the prosecution or the U.S. government to be present when they open the evidence envelopes. The defense couldn't even be present. Well, the prosecution opened the evidence envelopes, and of the 15, 5 of them are empty. Unbelievable, right? 97, 2001, they still haven't conducted the tests. They're dragging their feet, the government is, stalling. Now, if our government is truly interested in justice, they would get on with this case, but they don't dare resolve it in favor of somebody other than McDonald as the guilty party.
Yeah, if they discover that McDonald didn't do it, then they're obligated to find out who did.
Who did it? And here I'm sitting here with a confession from the girl.
And all the documentation, the evidence and everything, but yet it's ignored.
That's right.
You know, I wish this was a new story that I'd heard, but I see this in so many cases at all levels.
That's right.
All levels of government. These cover-ups, all these things that it's always doing. So he's still locked up. You have the evidence, and nobody will do anything.
They refuse. They refuse. Helena told me that there were generals involved in the operation, the drug operation. There were 2 attorneys in Fayetteville, North Carolina. There were police officers, and there were Army personnel involved in it.
Yeah.
That she personally has knowledge of.
Well, and this is a satanic cult.
This is a satanic cult. Now, the reason I gave that story is because I want to explain how I became involved in these issues.
In 28 years in the FBI, you'd never come across anything like that.
I had never come across anything like that. I never heard the word Illuminati. If I'd heard it, I didn't pay any attention to it, which is true of the average person
Well, yeah.
walking the street.
Right.
But let me tell you, folks, tonight you are going to learn about the Illuminati, because I learned about it after I became involved in the Jeffrey McDonald case.
Yeah.
The natural thing to do is to say, well, why? And what's happening here? Well, I went on national TV and national radio talk shows, and I exposed this whole operation out of Southeast Asia, the drugs. By the way, this is documented, the drug operation, in a magazine, a Time magazine, January 1, 1973. So I'm not talking off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But people came out of the woodwork from all over the United States, West Coast, East Coast, Middle West, Southwest, and started telling me the same basic story about the satanic cult movement in this country. The satanic cult movement dovetails and is tied into the Illuminati, that is tied into the U.S. intelligence community, that is tied into the illegal drug activity in this country, that is tied into the MK Ultra mind control program, which is a CIA program that began after World War II, code word Operation Paperclip. And in researching it, in other words, here, I'm saying, why? I don't understand. Where is the conspiracy? And let's prove the conspiracy, because I'm skeptical too. I'm a law enforcement officer for 28 years.
Right.
And we are we're bred to be suspicious and to be curious.
But even, and you mentioned Air America, when I was in Vietnam, I had work orders a number of times that I would go down and work on Air America airplanes. And I never had a clue. I mean, Air America sounds like a pretty nifty outfit. And I never had a clue what these airplanes were all about. And then in my debriefing, which I can't tell you about, they told me that I couldn't tell you about Air America even existing. I think I just did that, didn't I?
Oh,
Oh, well.
you're in trouble.
Anyway.
No, listen, let me tell you, Dennis. There's been so much publicity about Air America that you're
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, but Air America, there it was. No, I'm not going to tell you that. I know people that have pictures of the airplanes. That Air America, there it is. And at that time, I mean, I was gung-ho military. I was taking care of the country. And the Illuminati, I thought, was a brand of light bulbs. I mean, that's how far it went at that time. Now, after doing study, and the reason we're doing this, people, is for your information. We know this stuff, and we believe it, and we're just going to tell you what we found out. Do with it what you want. But the Illuminati has been documented, just like Air America, clear back, way back, to the days of the origination of the Constitution.
That's right. Now, you're aware, of course, I don't know if your audience is aware, but Air America, there was so much publicity on Air America, even a movie came out of Hollywood on it, that they dropped the name, and now it was known as Evergreen Airline,
Right.
and so forth.
Yeah.
Now, one of the airlines is Janet Airline,
Right.
which hauls the CIA employees out of Las Vegas every day up to Area 51 and back in the afternoon. They land about 2:30.
Wait a minute, I read an article that said there is no Area 51. So where does Janet Airlines land?
Well, I'm sorry, but there is an Area 51 because I was just there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that's right, I saw you there.
And I gave a lecture there.
No, it is amazing, and I know, I watched Janet Airlines take off. And I watched them when they were black. A black 737 and no numbers. Can you believe that? Really? Now they're white with a red stripe, so they've
Right.
They
Well,
prettied them up a little bit.
They've run them up.
Yeah.
They've upgraded.
Upgraded.
Them. Yeah, right.
Anyway, back to this light bulb company.
The Illuminati.
The Illuminati. They started way back. What's their plan?
Well, before I go into that, let me mention that I have put my own report together. You might want to hold it up, Dennis, on the Illuminati.
No, this is my copy of your report.
This is your copy.
Yeah, if you want one, you have to get it from him.
But this report takes the goals of the Illuminati and then comes right in behind the goals and documents what's happening today, how the goals are being implemented and activated.
Have you got the goals?
Yes, I've got the goals right here.
All right.
And this is a book. This is my Bible when it comes to the Illuminati. It's called Pawns in the Game, and it's by William Guy Carr. William Guy Carr was a Canadian author, commander in the retired in the Canadian Navy, and he couldn't understand why we had so much war and so many evil things taking place in the world. So he, like me, did his own research and found out really why. And in his book, it's a fabulous book, and this is available through me, by the way, in my research.
I was going to say, it looks like it's got some age on it.
Oh, it's an old timer. Yeah, I've used this quite extensively, but there are new copies that are available. Anyway, why don't I just go through these goals?
How many goals are there?
There's 25 goals, and I'll go through them just as fast as I can. I'm going to read from the book portions of it so that we don't lose the real significance of it. Okay? Number one, first of all, a fellow named Adam Weishaupt was commissioned by Meyer Rothschild in 1773 to come up with a plan to take over the world. And so on May the 1st, 1776, 3 years later, he had put this plan together, and the goals were announced. May the 1st is a communist holiday, as you know. By the way, it's kind of interesting, Area 51, 5-1, May the 1st.
Right.
I don't know if there's any significance there or not, but, you know, I'm not saying there is, I'm not saying there isn't, but okay, all right. Tell me I'm a kook, okay?
Well, 51 relates to a lot of things if we got if
Yeah,
we get
well,
time.
I'm just saying that's kind of
Yeah.
a little interesting twist there.
Happy May
Okay,
Day.
beg your pardon?
Happy May Day.
Happy May Day,
Right.
that's right. Okay, number one, the speaker in this meeting with the Rothschild and other leading industrialists, bankers, businessmen in Germany, he was from Germany, Weissoff said that he unfolded the plot by saying that because the majority of men were inclined to evil rather than good, the best results in governing them could be obtained by using violence and terrorism and not by academic discussions. He goes on and says that the way to rule is logically to conclude that by the laws of the nature, the right lies in force. And we've seen that. We see that every day.
Right.
We see that in the Middle East right today.
In the Middle East, we see that in Middle Reno.
Well, we see that also in the riots and
Everywhere.
and in the pitting the blacks against the Mexicans and the blacks against the whites.
Right.
And it's part of the master plan. Number two, he next asserted that political freedom is an idea and not a fact. He stated that in order to usurp political power, all that was necessary was to preach liberalism so that the electorate, for the sake of an idea, would yield some of their power and prerogatives which the plotters could then gather together into their own hands. Liberalism is very active in this country today.
That's right.
Number three, the speaker asserted that the power of gold had usurped the power of liberal rulers even then, and of course this started in 1773, it was announced 1776. He reminded his audience that there had been a time when faith had ruled, but stated that once that freedom had been substituted for faith, the people did not know how to use it in moderation. He argued that because of this fact, it was logical to assume that they could use the idea of freedom to bring about class wars. He pointed out that it was immaterial to the success of his plan whether the established governments were destroyed by internal or external foes, because the victor had of necessity to seek the aid of capital, which, quote, is entirely in our hands. Number four, he argued that the use of any and all means to reach their final goal was justified on the grounds that the ruler who governed by the moral code was not a skilled politician because he left himself vulnerable and in an unstable position on his throne. He said those who wish to rule must have recourse to cunning and to make believe, because great national qualities like frankness and honesty are vices in politics. Number five, he asserted, our right lies in force. The word right is an abstract thought and proves nothing. I find a new right to attack by the right of the strong and to scatter to the winds all existing forces of order and regulation, to reconstruct all existing institutions, and to become the sovereign lord of all those who left to us the rights of their powers by laying them down voluntarily in their liberalism. Number six, he then admonished his listeners with these words. The power of our resources, listen to this is very interesting. The power of our resources must remain invisible until the very moment when it has gained such strength that no cunning or force can undermine it. He warned them that any deviation from the line of the strategical plan he was making known to them would risk bringing to naught the labors of centuries. So it's secret.
Right.
And they want to keep it secret. They don't want the public or the people to be aware of what their plan is, because if enough people become aware of it, they could stop it.
Well, I mean, if just the first 6 items so far, if you publish those in the largest newspapers in the country for 2 or 3 weeks, just explained all this, it'd be all over with. The people would be so outraged.
That's right. And we're coming up to that in just a few minutes, why it's not being published.
Right.
That's control of the press. That's not the 7th one, but we'll talk about the 7th one. He next asserted, Weissoff did, the use of mob psychology to obtain control of the masses. He reasoned that the might of the mob is blind, senseless, and unreasoning, and ever at the mercy of suggestion from any side. He stated only a despotic ruler can rule the mob effectively, because without absolute despotism, there can be no existence for civilization, which was carried out not by the masses, but by their guide, whosoever that person might be. He warned that the moment the mob seizes freedom in its hand, it quickly turns to anarchy. Number 8, he next advocated the use, oh, this is a good one, of alcohol, liquor, drugs, moral corruption, and all forms of vice to be used systematically by their agenteurs to corrupt the morals of the youth of the nation. He recommended that special agenteurs should be trained as tutors, lackeys, governesses, clerks, and by our women in the places frequented by the masses. He added that in the number of these last I count also the so-called society ladies who become voluntary followers of the others in corruption and luxury. We must not stop at bribery, deceit, and treachery when they should serve towards the attainment of our goal. Don't we see that today?
We see, I haven't missed anything we don't see today so far.
I mean, that is heavy, though. Stop and think of what's happened to the youth of America today.
Oh, right. There's no question about it.
The drugs, the dress in the satanic symbols, the emblems that they use, sex. Look at television.
Absolutely.
The greatest media in the history of the world, and it's being used to influence our youth and also us, of course, through subliminal messages. Okay, number 9, turning to politics, he claimed that they had the right to seize property by any means and without hesitation, if by doing so they secure submission and sovereignty. He pronounced, quote, our state, marching along the path of peaceful conquest, has the right to replace the horrors of war by less noticeable and more satisfactory sentences of death necessary to maintain the terror which tends to produce blind submission. We see the IRS grabbing property every day. Look at the Gordon Call case.
Yeah, but we even see law enforcement agencies seizing property.
That's right, on a regular basis.
Right.
And look at what's happening right here in Nevada with the ranchers.
Oh, we got the federal government has basically seized 87% of
the state of Nevada.
Of the state of Nevada, sure.
And they've taken the large ranchers and put them out of. They're trying to put them out of business. They're fighting it.
They are putting them out of business.
That's right. Number 10, dealing to the use of slogans, he said, in ancient times we were the first to put the words liberty, equality, and fraternity into the mouths of the masses. Words repeated to this day by stupid poll parrots, words which the would-be wise men of the masses could make nothing of in their abstractness and did not note the contradiction of their meaning and interrelation. He claimed the words brought under their direction and control legions who bore our banners with enthusiasm. He reasoned that there is no reason in nature, no place in nature for equality, liberty, or fraternity. He said, on the ruins of the natural and genealogical aristocracy of the masses, we have set up the aristocracy of money. The qualifications of this aristocracy is wealth, which is dependent upon us. Now, in our show recently, we talked about the Federal Reserve.
Right.
The Federal Reserve is a private corporation. It's not part of the government. It tells us everything about what we can do about money, raise the interest, lower the interest.
Well, it totally controls money, inflation, and people.
And don't you, I find it amusing, I don't enjoy it, I find it amusing, the gas prices have been astronomically high lately, and all Greenspan now has come out and said the gas prices are going to drop. I think they dropped them because the masses of the people were up in arms over this.
Well, I hope that's what it was, and I hope there was an actual reaction to the will of the people, because we don't see that very often.
Well, I suspect that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But gas prices are dropping.
They have dropped some, yes.
And it shows you that they do have the control to do this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first of all, Greenspan's head of the Federal Reserve System. What's he talking about gas prices for in the first place? I mean, this is, if people would say, you know, what is this?
None of that, well, of course, we have the IRS. IRS is a private corporation.
Yeah.
IRS is not part of the Treasury Department.
Well, it's basically the collection arm for the Federal Reserve.
That's right.
They scoop up if there's too much money out there. The IRS goes out, scoops it up, and puts it back in the hopper, and then they loan it back to our senators, and they give it,
10 times
10 times, right,
on the dollar.
right. And then they charge it to the good faith and promise of the citizens of the United States.
Dennis, do you think it's possible that you and I could maybe buy some stock in the IRS or the Federal Reserve? Since they're private corporations, I guess we can't.
Let's
You
call
have to have somebody,
let's-
you have to know somebody on the inside. I
Well, let's
think.
call a broker tomorrow.
Okay.
Let's find out,
Okay,
yeah.
sounds good. Okay, number 11. This is interesting. Number 11 is very fascinating. This is Adam Weishaupt at the meeting, May 1st, 1770. He next expounded on theories regarding war. In 1773, he set down a principle which the governments of Britain and the United States publicly announced in their joint policy in 1939. So, 200 years later, he set down the policy of the British and the American government. He said it should be the policy of those present to foment wars, but to direct peace conferences so that neither of the combatants obtain territorial gains. He said the wars should be directed so that the nations engaged on both sides would be placed further in their debt and in the power of our
Right.
agenteurs. Look at Yalta, right?
Yeah.
We, the United States, won World War II.
Right.
We have a meeting at Yalta with Stalin, and the British, of course, are there. And what do? We give away
Every-
half the world to the communists.
Right.
Okay, if that isn't a perfect example,
So to back up a little bit, did we win?
no,
Right.
we did not win. But the combatants obtained territorial gains, and nobody gathered any.
Except we were all a lot more in debt.
We were in debt, which is perfect. Okay?
Which is, yeah.
Goes right along with what the Illuminati preaches.
Right.
Number 12, Weishaupt said, in that case, he next dealt with administration. He told those present at this meeting that they must use their wealth to have candidates chosen for public office who would be obedient to our commands, so they may readily be used as pawns in our game by the learned and ingenious men we will appoint to operate behind the scenes of government as official advisors. He added, the men we appointed as advisors will have been bred, reared, and trained from childhood in accordance with our ideals to rule the affairs of the whole world. How about Rhodes Scholars?
Wrote every high office in probably every state and definitely Washington, D.C., are always the golden boy. They're always the chosen person. They come out of nowhere, and automatically they're elected.
Dennis, let's look at what's happened in our lifetime. Okay, Pearl Harbor. Roosevelt knew in advance they were going to bomb Pearl Harbor, right? Jack Kennedy's assassination, a joint CIA Chicago mob operation. Look at Bobby Kennedy. He was assassinated. It was an 8-shot gun. There were 13 bullets in the walls.
Right.
Look at Waco. Look at Oklahoma City. Now, the point I'm making there is, look at the Warren Commission report on the Jack Kennedy assassination. The point I'm making there is the people in Washington, D.C. who fall in this category, it seems like a majority of them do, they're pawns.
Right.
They're covering up. And that's why they have control of what goes on at the high levels of our government.
Right. But what happens? I mean, there has to be, in my little mind, some enlightenment somewhere, somehow. I mean, how can, you can't have this many people walking around sound asleep. I mean, I see it, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but the masses, how are they not reacting?
Well, first of all, we're coming to that very shortly. In fact, that's number 13. Let me
Yeah.
read number 13 and we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Number 13, it dealt with propaganda and explained how their combined wealth could control all outlets of public information while they remained in the shade and clear of blame regardless of the repercussions due to the publication of libel, slander, or untruths. The speaker said, quote, "Thanks to the press, we have got gold in our hands, notwithstanding the fact that we had to gather it out of the oceans of blood and tears. But it has paid us even though we have sacrificed many of our own people. Each victim on our side is worth 1,000 of the masses." Control the press.
Right.
If we had a real honest, free press in this country, they would attack
Well,
Arlen Specter, the senator from Pennsylvania, on the magic bullet.
right.
They would attack the federal government on Oklahoma City, Ruby Ridge, and so
They would
forth.
have to.
And a congressman should be standing on top of the desks and shouting, "We want an investigation."
Right.
In the World Trade Center bombing in 1993, this is documented in a New York Times article, October 28, 1993. The FBI not only knew in advance they were going to bomb the World Trade Center, they furnished the ingredients for the bomb. Why is not Congress asking
Right.
for an investigation of that? 6 people were killed.
Right there, you're telling. You're
Right.
telling.
That's
right.
the answer right there.
Right.
And the press is not doing that. Mainstream media is not doing that. You are, Dennis.
Well, they're bought and paid for, the
That's right.
mainstream media.
Well, and also the large conglomerate manufacturers and big business.
Right.
Okay, number 14. He next explained the necessity of having our agent tours always come out into the open and appear on the scene when conditions had reached their lowest ebb and the masses had been subjugated by means of want and terror. He pointed out that when it was time to restore order, they should do it in such a way that the victims would believe they had been the prey of criminals and irresponsibles. He said, quote, "By executing the criminals and lunatics after they've carried out our preconceived reign of terror, we can make ourselves appear as the saviors of the oppressed and the champions of the workers." The speaker then added, quote, "We are interested in just the opposite, in the dimension, the killing out of the masses of the people." By the way, there's a movement to reduce the world population to 500 million. The United States would have 20 million people, right?
A tenth of the population?
That's right. Speaking of killing out of the masses. Number 15, he next explained how industrial depressions and financial panics could be brought about and used to serve their purpose, saying, quote, "Enforced unemployment and hunger, imposed on the masses because of the power we have to create shortages of food, will create the right of capital to rule more surely than it was given to the real aristocracy and by the legal authority of kings." He claimed that by having their agent tour control the mob could then be used to wipe out all who dared to stand in their way. Henry Kissinger made this statement once: "If you want to control the population, you control the food."
Right.
Number 16, that talked about the Freemasonry. Now, I want to make it very clear. We're talking about the Masons. There are a number of outstanding, wonderful men in the Masons.
Yeah.
Okay, just like there are good people in the FBI and good people in the CIA. But based on
There
my
are
research,
good people in the CIA?
beg your pardon?
There are good people in the
There
CIA?
absolutely are.
Okay.
I know there are. As a matter of fact, there is an internal struggle going on in the CIA, I understand, through my sources. And it's between a group known as the Graybeards, the old-timers, and the second group are called the Snotty-Nosed Bush Kids. Okay?
Self-explanatory.
Self-explanatory. The Snotty-Nosed Bush Kids are in control right today, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, I do know, and I want to emphasize that there are real good people in the FBI. I know some of them. They're great people in the sheriff's department. There's great people in the local police departments. But for all those great people that are going down the street, there's one but stands over here.
Well-
And makes it bad for all of them.
That's right.
Now, this isn't the case, the CIA has not a real good name. I mean, I don't know where this is coming from, but they get blamed for everything. Now, lawyers, there's a whole other thing. I mean, it isn't one that's over here. It's, what was it they say, 99% of the lawyers give the other 1% a bad name. And that's the way I see it.
That's
The-
true.
The lawyers are totally out of control, and the judges, and running this.
That's right.
I mean, this is who you're talking about.
This is the story.
Does he mention the Bar Association in there?
No,
Not by name,
no, but
but-
they're part of the agent tours behind the scene.
Right. Jeez.
Okay, now he talks about the Freemasons, and what's happened? The Illuminati has infiltrated the Freemasons, and they've established secret societies within a secret society. Now, I want to make it very clear: the Freemasons are not the only victims of this infiltration, because the Illuminati has infiltrated virtually every level of society.
Right.
I know of law enforcement officers, judges, prosecutors, businessmen, attorneys, doctors.
Doctors, yeah.
And the scumbags that follow us around on occasion
Right.
and that sabotage your car
Right.
and loosen my lug nuts, they're part of the Illuminati, but they're the dirtbags down below. They're the tools of the Illuminati and
Yeah.
furtherance of their cause. But, so the Freemasons are not the only group that's been infiltrated. The churches have been infiltrated.
Right.
You cannot get, there's not 1 in 1,000, there's only 1 in 1,000 ministers that will allow you to come in and talk like you and I are talking right today.
Right. They're afraid of losing their
501.
IRS 501c3.
That's
Yeah.
right, that's right. Okay, next, number 17.
There's
That don't-
25 of these.
Yeah, is that too much?
Oh, no, I can handle it.
Do you want me to keep going?
I can keep going. I can handle it.
Okay. Yeah, we have, yes, we have a few more to go. 8 more to go. He expounded the value of systematic deceptions, pointing out that their agent tour should be trained in the use of high-sounding phrases and the use of popular slogans. This is typical politician, isn't it?
Absolutely.
They should make the masses the most lavish of promises. He observed, quote, "The opposite of what has been promised can always be done afterwards. That is of no consequence," end quote. He reasoned that by using such words as freedom and liberty, the masses could be stirred up to such a pitch of patriotic fervor that they could be made to fight even against the laws of God and nature. He added, quote, "And for this reason, after we obtain control of the very name of God, we will be erased from the lexicon of life." Well, there you have it. Lavish words.
Right.
Remember George Bush? Read my lips.
Right. Yeah.
I will not raise taxes.
Right. Until I get in.
And he was elected, he raised taxes.
Yeah. But he
Okay.
wouldn't repeat the last part of it.
And how many promises did Clinton make? And how many promises have the other politicians made? You know, of the 535 congressmen and senators in Washington, D.C., I doubt if we have 25 or 30 that are real, true Americans. That's a sad commentary.
It's very sad, and it's even sadder that I have to agree with you.
Number 18, he then detailed the plans for Revolutionary War, the art of street fighting, and outlined the pattern for the reign of terror, which he insisted must accompany every revolutionary effort, quote, because it is the most economical way to bring the population to speedy subjection. Number 19, diplomacy was next discussed. After all wars, secret diplomacy must be insisted upon, quote, in order that our agent tours, these are the men behind the scenes, masquerading as political and financial and economic advisors, can carry out our mandates without fear of exposing who are the secret power behind national and international affairs. The Speaker then told those present that by secret diplomacy, they must obtain such control, quote, that the nations cannot come to even an inconsiderable private agreement without our secret agents having a hand in it. After World War II, we had Alger Hiss, right?
Right.
And he was number one advisor to President Roosevelt. He went to Yalta and was instrumental in dividing up the world and giving half of it to the communists.
Right.
He was identified as a communist agent.
Exactly. I mean, he was professed to be one.
And what happened? Denied it. However, when communism was defeated in Russia, the records were there. He was, in fact, a communist agent.
Right.
By the way, I have another theory on communism, the downfall of communism under the Reagan administration. Why don't we talk about that if we have time when I get through with these 25 topics. Okay, number 20. The ultimate world government was the ultimate control of the world, and taking over the world was the goal. It's number 20. To reach this goal, the Speaker told them, quote, it would be necessary to establish huge monopolies, reservoirs of such colossal riches that even the largest fortunes of the masses will depend on us to such an extent that they will go to the bottom together with the credit of our government on the day after the great political smash. The Speaker then added, quote, you gentlemen here present, who are economists, just strike an estimate of the significance of this combination. Number 21, economic war. Plans to rob the masses of their landed properties and industries were then discussed. A combination of high taxes and unfair competition was advocated to bring about the economic ruin of the masses as far as their national financial interests and investments were concerned. In the international field, he felt that they could be encouraged to price themselves out of the markets. This could be achieved by the careful control of raw materials, organized agitation among the workers for shorter hours and higher pay, and by subsidizing competitors. The Speaker warned his co-conspirators that they must arrange matters and control conditions so that the, quote, increased wages obtained by the workers will not benefit them in any way.
Right.
So we have the workers making more money, prices going up.
Yep, exactly.
Increase in prices, okay? And we also have control, without any doubt, of the economy by the federal government.
Oh, no question.
And we have the higher taxes. Now, I think, George Bush recently lowered taxes. The Congress did too, by the way. Again, I think that's a ploy. I think it's a matter of time before they'll raise them back up. Because people, I really think we're making progress, Dennis. I think the people are starting to catch on.
Well, I feel like they are.
Huh? Yeah.
I feel like they are.
And I think that's the reason for Greenspan coming out and saying, oh, we're going to lower the gas prices, and also for the decrease in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Number 22, armaments. It was suggested that the building up of armaments for the purpose of making the mass destroy each other should be launched on such a colossal scale that in the final analysis, quote, there will only be the masses of the left in the world with a few millionaires devoted to our cause, and police and soldiers sufficient to protect our interests. We have, I think you had a whole show on the local sheriff's office.
Well, the police have flip-flopped now. Instead of protecting the rights of the citizens, they're protecting the corporations from the citizens. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, it's no longer government of the people, by the people, for the people. It's a government for the government.
Government against the people.
And against the people.
Right.
I think we should emphasize, Dennis, that you and I are not anti-government.
Not at all.
We are anti-corruptionists.
Right.
Okay, number 23, the New World Order. Members of the one world government would be appointed by the dictator. This is once they've taken over.
Mm-hmm.
He would pick men from among the scientists, the economists, the financiers, the industrialists, and from the millionaires because, quote, In substance, everything will be settled by the question of figures, end quote. Number 24, the importance of youth. The importance of capturing the interest of youth was emphasized with the admonition that, quote, our agents should infiltrate into all classes and levels of society and government for the purpose of fooling, bemusing, and corrupting the younger members of society by teaching them theories and principles we know to be false. 25, the last goal that was announced on that date. National and international laws should not be changed, but should be used as they are to destroy the civilization of the masses, quote, merely by twisting them into contradiction of the interruption of which first masks the law and afterwards hides it altogether. Interpretation is the word, by the way. Interpretation which first masks the law and afterwards hides it altogether. Our ultimate aim is to substitute arbitration for law, end quote. The speaker then told the listeners, you may think that the masses will rise upon us with arms, but in the West, we have against this possibility an organization of such appalling terror that the very stoutest hearts, the underground, the metropolis, the subterranean quarters, these will be established in the capitals and cities of all countries before that danger threatens. I happen to know that there are underground cities in America,
Right.
in Europe, underground city from a good source in Kansas City, and also in Denver, Colorado. There's your Pawns in the Game. This book is fabulous.
When was that published?
That was published in 1956, I think it was.
This
It's been
Adam
out.
fellow said this in 1776.
No, it was Adam Weishaupt announced his goal in 1776, and William Guy Carr wrote this book in 1956, I believe, and that's when it was published. But this book is available through me, by the way.
Yeah, but
To
it's
make it
still. I mean, this
He
guy.
died in 1959.
Yeah, this guy is talking like that proposed all this stuff. He's talking like this is the Clinton administration. I mean, it's everything is there, but my point is, he said all this back in the late 1700s.
It's May the 1st, 1776, when this was announced. This book is well used,
Yeah,
as you can see. I made a lot of notes from it. I've lectured from it. I have charts that I've taken from this book, and this is it.
well, one thing that I want to happen before we discuss anymore, and we're getting a little short on time, is I want you to stop the tape now and rewind it and listen to this again, and maybe do it 2 or 3 times, because what was said for the last 45, 50 minutes is going on out there right now. So shut us down and back us up.
You're not talking about your people in the studio. You're talking about people watching this.
No, we're talking about
Okay. I'm just kidding you.
the people in the studio do it automatically.
Well, you have to
yeah.
fire them if they do it. Huh?
Yeah, right. Except for all
I'm
volunteers.
just,
But okay,
I'm
let's
just being a smarty. Okay.
yeah, let's move on. There are many people and there are organizations that are out there that openly promote communism as a means of government, and there are people that say that what we have right now is communism. And I have talked to a number of people who say, I mean with a straight face, that communism is a good thing. Well, I studied this a lot, and they're right. Communism is a wonderful, fantastic form of government if you happen to be a sheep. It won't work for humans. We have the ability to think. We have the ability to create. We have the ability to desire and want to build something. So communism can't work. You can't control something that thinks, and that's us. So they are, as it said right there, They need to control the fact that we think. They need to control what we think. And it just blows me away that, and especially, for those of you that are watching this for the third time, this is exactly what is in place. This is exactly what happened, and the fact that it's 200 plus years ago, it just totally brings me back to the opening statement of this show, that I don't believe in the conspiracy theory because there's no theory.
It's true.
So, what are we going to do, Ted?
Well, we keep doing what you're doing.
And you?
Go public with it. Educate America. Wake up America. I had as I mentioned several times, I had my own radio talk show, and my battle cry was, wake up America, wake up America. Every break, I would say, wake up America. I was going to, by the way, after the Oklahoma City bombing, Brian Gumbel had Jim Nichols on his show, the brother of Terry Nichols.
Right.
And I had sent my Oklahoma City report, which we discussed in one of your shows recently, to Jim. And he asked Brian, he says, have you seen Ted Gunderson's report? And Brian says, oh, no reason to look at that. He's just a conspiracy theorist. So that's what we're thought of by the mainstream media. What's the matter with the mainstream media that they can't take a look at this and see that they're being used?
Right.
I've talked to reporters on this at the street level, and I've given them information on stories and cases and so forth.
Yeah.
I worked a number of high-profile cases since I retired, the Jeffrey McDonald case and the McMartin case, and worked with F. Lee Bailey on some cases also. And I've given these reporters information, and then nothing came of it.
Nothing happens.
And I'd see them later, and I'd say, what happened? Oh, my editor wouldn't let me print that.
Right.
So
But-
they're controlled by, and if you go back, I have this, by the way, also in that book that you have right there, the Illuminati book.
Illuminati, yeah, right.
I have a copy of the newspaper article, February 9, 1917, of the Congressional Record, which I know you have it too. Right. That
Right.
the J.P. Morgan interests bought up 25 of America's leading newspapers
Right.
and inserted their own editors in order to control the press. This occurred in 1950. This, by the way, is on 2947 and 2948 of the Congressional Record.
Right. And you've got that in here, too.
I've got that in there. Okay.
Yeah, we popped that right up on the TV screen. And
Right.
everybody was like, their chins were hitting their chest. And,
There you go. That was 85 years ago.
right.
So are you going to tell me that William Guy Carr doesn't know what he's talking about when he says control the press? Are you going to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, or you don't know what you're talking about?
Well,
you had the same document?
You just said exactly what the saying in there, control the thoughts, control the press. When you come out and say something to somebody and they dismiss it because you're a conspiracy theorist, or they dismiss it because you're a white guy, or they dismiss it because you limp, whatever the media has decided is not good is exactly what the masses are going to do. They're not going to read that because it's already programmed in that you're a bad person that it came from. You offered this information. So, therefore, you are a conspiracy theorist. That's bad. You talk to a guy who knew a lady whose best friend's dog knew somebody that was in the militia. You're bad. That's what the media does. And that's, I've heard that so many times. Well, why should I believe that? Because you are this.
You're a kook.
You're a kook. You're a patriot.
You're a militia member.
Yeah, exactly. It just proves that that's the truth. Because that's what you just said. When you read that, that's what he said. Mess them up until whatever.
Make confusion.
Make confusion.
Mass confusion, absolutely.
Yeah, right. And using words such as liberty and justice for all, using phrases such as that and turning them negative is amazing. The only thing I've done so far that's been really successful is I dropped Patriot and all those things, and I signed my name, Dennis Grover, comma, American. And so far, they haven't demonized it.
They can't demonize that.
Yeah,
They
so
really can't.
they still don't like me much, but that's what I am. That's what you are. And these people, you know, William Jefferson, I can't say that word, Clinton, got up and said he was an American. And it was the toughest time I ever had keeping my lunch down. They're making a lot of signals at us. They give us this, you know, and I never know if that means wind it up or there's black helicopters coming. Anyway, Ted.
Well, let's quit right on 60 seconds, or 60 minutes.
Quit it
again,
right
John.
on, yeah, we've got to get out of here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Not just for being here, but for being you.
Thank you, sir. And
It's-
you too.
It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure.
All right.
What George Washington was saying was that it was not my intention to doubt that the doctrines of the Illuminati had not spread to the United States. On the contrary, no one is more truly satisfied of that fact than I am. You had better wake up and understand that there are people who are guiding your life and you don't even know it.